Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what it's really like to be a teenager. We're going way beyond the usual stuff about hormones and peer pressure. We're diving into the hidden, energetic battles that can shape these years. You know, the unseen forces behind things like apathy, social anxiety, and all that group drama. We're going to look at life through a totally different lens, the lens of a spiritual investor. All right, let's just start with this warning from a spiritual guide named Lord Blue. It's so powerful because it basically forces you to look deeper, to not just take things at face value. It's a huge reminder that what we see on the surface, that teen who seems super chill or detached, that might actually be hiding something way more dangerous going on inside. So let's open our first case file. We're going to meet Rev, a student who seems like he's got it all figured out. He's kind of philosophically above all the high school drama and stress about grades. But as we're about to see, that calm exterior is just a cover for an invisible predator that's literally draining his life force. Okay, so this is Rev in his own words. And you can hear it, right? It's smart. He's not just being lazy. He's actually built this whole sophisticated intellectual fortress to justify why he's not doing anything. He's framed his apathy not as a problem, but as some kind of enlightened choice. It's a defense mechanism, and it's so good, he's even convinced himself. But here's the twist. When his friend Evan, who's getting some guidance from Lord Blue, looks at the situation on an energetic level, the whole picture just flips. What Rev calls his disinterested peace is actually a suffocating, almost tangible cocoon of gray fog. His detachment isn't a choice at all, it's a symptom. It's a spiritual parasite feeding on all his unused potential. And here's what you've got to understand about this entity. It's not some loud, aggressive demon. Depressa is a whisper. Its real power is in how subtle it is, in that quiet, constant suggestion that trying is pointless. It basically starves its host by convincing them not to even bother turning on their own inner light. So you can see how this thing works, right? It has a playbook. It pumps you full of pessimism to justify giving up. It makes you expect to fail so you don't even try in the first place. And it uses that intellectualization, exactly what Rev was doing, to put a smart-sounding mask over a simple, raw fear of not being good enough. Indifference becomes a shield. And this is where it gets truly terrifying. Apathy isn't a final stop. It's the top of a very slippery slope. Lord Blue is warning us that this seemingly harmless, I don't care attitude is the first step. The little questions, like why study, they slowly morph into the biggest questions of all. So how do you fight a fog? Well, you can't argue with it, right? So Evan does something brilliant. He completely bypasses all of Rev's intellectual defenses. He just reminds Rev of something he used to be passionate about, a dream of seeing the temples in Japan. And that one small, personal desire, that's the spark. It's just enough to reignite his engine and start burning away the fog. Okay, so if apathy is about your energy being drained, our next case is about how energy gets trapped in an endless, useless cycle. We're heading right into the heart of teen social life, a high school party. But this isn't just a party, it's become a distorted, spiritual hall of mirrors. I mean, this quote just captures the whole weird vibe perfectly. You've got this guy, Diesel, who's the center of attention, a legend. But the attention isn't even direct. It's all filtered through phone screens. People are in the exact same room, but they're consuming a digital echo of the moment instead of actually being in it. So what's really going on here? It's this core mechanic, this trap. It's a psychological thing where teens feel like they're always on stage, performing for this invisible audience that's judging their every move. And it leads to a life that isn't really lived. It's curated. You end up trading your authentic self for the imaginary applause of people who aren't even really there. And man, Lord Blue's diagnosis of the spiritual economics here is just, wow. Diesel is performing because he's starving for validation, and the crowd is consuming his performance to feel something. But it's a totally closed system. There's no new energy, no real light coming in. They're all just feeding on each other, circulating the same stale energy until it spoils. Nobody is actually getting nourished. And here's the real cost, the bottom line. All that energy, all that time and focus that goes into building this perfect online persona, this synthetic self, it doesn't come from nowhere. It's drained directly from their real-world vitality, leaving them feeling hollow and empty when the screen finally turns off. So how do you break the spell? It's not about putting on a better performance. The antidote is authenticity. When Diesel stumbles, Evan steps in. He doesn't record it, he doesn't make a joke, he offers genuine help. And he creates this tiny, private zone of reality with 2 simple words: no cameras. That simple act of real connection shatters the whole illusion. All right, for our final case file, we're zooming out. We're going from the individual to the group. We find ourselves at a school protest that's turned into something else, something more primal. A whole crowd of individual students has been swept up and transformed into one single raging beast. This is the key psychological thing happening here. De-individuation is just a fancy word for what happens in a mob. Your sense of being an individual, with your own thoughts, your own morals, your own consequences, it just dissolves. The I gets completely swallowed up by the intoxicating power of the we. And what Evan sees happening on a spiritual level is kind of wild. All the students' unique auras, their individual I am presence, they're just gone, erased. They've been swallowed up by this one collective, pulsing red smog of shared anger. Logic is totally out the window, replaced by emotional contagion, where feelings just spread like a virus, bypassing everyone's rational brain. But then, Lord Blue just drops this absolute truth bomb. That feeling of being anonymous, of being powerful inside the crowd, it creates this dangerous illusion that you can't get in trouble. But on a spiritual level, there is no mob. There are only individuals making choices. And the law of cause and effect, well, it holds every single person accountable for the energy they added to that storm. So what can one person possibly do? Evan learns pretty quick that you can't reason with the storm. Trying to shout logic into that red fog is just pointless. The only thing that works is to become a lighthouse, to stand firm, to hold your own calm, stable energy, and just refuse to feed the chaos. You can't stop the storm, but you can be a point of stillness right in the middle of it. Okay, so we've got the apathy fog, the mirror trap, and the collective storm. What's the connection here? These 3 case files, as different as they seem, they all point to one central, really powerful idea that kind of reframes how we think about personal power. This is it. This is the core takeaway. Your attention, your focus, your emotional energy, it's the most valuable currency you have. Think about it. In each case, we saw it being spent. Rev let his get drained away by apathy. The kids at the party just circulated theirs uselessly, chasing validation, and the protesters pulled all of theirs into a destructive storm. Evan's realization here is just huge. His power isn't about being the loudest or the strongest. It's about being a conscious investor. He gets that putting his energy into chaos and destruction gives him 0 positive return. It's a bad investment. So he chooses to invest his energy in things that actually build, protect, and create real value. And really, that's the question this whole thing leaves us with. It comes back to you. Every single day, we're faced with a million opportunities to spend our energy. This whole idea challenges us to stop being passive about it and to start being active investors in our own lives, to actually look at where our focus is going and ask that one crucial question: is this a good investment?